Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to Zyxel's Tech Talk. My name is Tri Nguyen. I am the product manager and sales manager here in Zyxel North America. Glad to have you here, be able to join us. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A section, and I'll try to answer those in line. But today we're going to be covering new partner information. If you're a partner with us or maybe a new partner, a lot of information to cover. Maybe if you're already here, like I see Wayne. Hi, how you doing this today? And Alan, good to see you here as well. We'll have a lot of usual suspects, people who love to come here and just to see what's new with Zycel. Glad to have you, and hopefully you can take away something new this time around as well. But we're going to be covering a lot of details about who Zycel is, what products we provide, how we can be your solution partner for your networking business, especially if you're looking at becoming an ISP or MSP, providing services to your customers with our products. So let's just jump right in. We are Zycel Networks, celebrating 35 years now in networking expertise. We have 700 passionate employees worldwide covering over 150 markets, 100 million devices, making connections with over 1 million businesses using Zyxel solutions today. And we are industry leading and also working with partners who are leaders in the field. So we use their expertise, use their technologies within our products to enhance what we provide to customers like yourself and to the end users. Different solutions from wireless scanning tools, from security products, services, and functionalities that will help to ensure that your customers get a great experience from a networking perspective. We are internationally recognized worldwide as a brand, and we continue to win awards. We just announced our CRN finalist award for some of our products, and you'll see that in our marketing and on our webpage as well. We are a channel company, meaning that we work through distribution. We have sales managers, account managers that work with you and provide you with the support that you need from pre-sales support, working with distribution, ordering, special pricing, deal registrations, and then also on the tech support side on the back end, making sure that the products are working, working with you with our RMAs, any kind of, anything that you need to facilitate kind of the entire transaction as well as the support of the product. These individuals, David, Andy, and Jacob, are here to serve you in that regard. So let's jump in. Why Zycel? So one of the big key differentiators that we have seen in the market and where our partners and any new partners have been gravitating towards is our Nebula platform. And so Nebula is our cloud management platform. And so we like to say work smarter, not harder. So comparing some of the traditional, um, ways that you do MSP services today, you need to have equipment, you need to install the equipment, you need to have something to monitor it, you need to have access to that equipment, you need some monitoring programs to manage that. You need to store all that data and syslogs or things like that. You have to then manage the complex changes or updates, and then also manage user devices within that network, maybe authentication, maybe guest network access, things like that. But it costs a lot. The infrastructure you have to build is quite extensive as well. So what Nebula provides is that it can actually reduce some of those requirements. Like you no longer need to have equipment on site or equipment invested for monitoring. You just need access to the equipment via the internet without having to have any additional, cloud keys or things like that. You don't no longer need to have any special storage devices to managing those logs. It can manage the data within the cloud system itself. It simplifies the updates and changes and allows for you to manage these users and devices via the cloud. So really reducing the man hours it takes for you to kind of get up and going, especially if you don't have systems in place today. So it's less for you to invest, and yet you have the full complete solution for you to provide a full capacity MSP type service, both on the deployment side, the equipment side, the technology, but then also the post sales, the troubleshooting, the management systems, and then actively managing those customers rather than doing a break fix. And so Nebula provides free network management option. So we can give you a kind of an organizational capability so you can manage within a single pane of glass multiple customers that may have multiple sites within each customer. And you can manage all of that under a single interface and be able to customize those interfaces as well. You can set up devices and the technologies here without even unboxing the device. You can register your device via a mobile app or through the web interface. All it has to do is scan the QR code or enter the MAC serial into that Nebula interface and then assign it to the customer to which you want to manage it for. And so you can create those accounts and do that even before the unit even comes out of the box. You can pre-configure those devices and then, on upon install, it can get up and running within minutes because then it just calls home. Once it gets internet connectivity, it calls home to the Nebula cloud and says, "Hey, who do I belong to? What customer do I belong to?" And then it will inherit those configurations, update to the latest firmware, and then be able to get up and going. So really, from our partners who have tried this solution out, that's a huge benefit to them to not having to have a dedicated network tech to just go on site to do configuration. They can pre-configure it or even create templates that are already available for them to just copy over to this new site as they created these templates. You can just copy them over, apply it to that network, and then once it's available to go online, it takes that identity. You have access to this solution, to this Nebula Cloud, anywhere you would have internet connectivity. So whether it be a mobile device, a a tablet, a PC, anywhere you have connectivity, you can access this Nebula Control Center. And so that allows for you to monitor, configure, troubleshoot, everything like an IT person would want and need in order to provide these kinds of services, and gives you visibility on what's going on. And you can relax because there's no additional hardware or software to put into the network. You can configure and monitor that without any additional cloud keys or any software. You don't have to install another PC or install a VPN or anything like that to get into the network in order to service these types of devices. It's all handled and managed within each individual device itself. It has the ability to call back to that Nebula Cloud as long as there's internet connectivity. And you can manage guests securely. So being able to offer captive portal with a voucher system or user and device management, doing guest isolation, or even using connect and protect solutions at the AP level to provide security on who has access to that network. And that could be managed all in that Nebula Cloud platform, all again under a single interface. So you don't have to have a separate Radius server or anything like that. You can manage all of the remote network access, remote workplaces, and secure, site-to-site VPNs or secure Wi-Fi type solutions, site-to-site, hub and spoke. You want to mesh connections or VPN connections together. It can all be configured within this system as well. So for really easy kind of applications where you just need connectivity for offices, things like that, this is perfect for that, and allows for you to even deploy what we call remote access points with secure tunnel. So you can deploy an access point at a remote site or remote home, and the AP in itself can actually create a tunnel, a secured encrypted tunnel back to one of our firewalls, and then be able to offer similar services as if they were sitting at the remote office itself, and do that securely, do that easily and quickly with our solutions. Built-in user management for two-factor authentication if you're wanting to do WPA2 or WPA3 enterprise type for your Wi-Fi passphrases and such. It can be managed within this Nebula Cloud as well for user access, for guest network access, or even just management from an admin perspective. So you may have technicians or admins that are managing your customers and be able to give them certain types of access and visibility into the Nebula Cloud side. All updates are fast and efficient. If you need to make changes, firmware updates, you can schedule those updates as well, or you can set it for an auto update. If new firmwares are released, it can automatically go and update to the latest files as needed. And so you get to have that full control. It allows for you to automate and auto deploy type solutions. So if you want to be able to do self-install kits where they're just, you just have to scan the devices, ship it off to the customer. It has basic information on what to plug into where. The internet connectivity goes to the firewall goes to the switch goes to the AP, power them all on, they can all get their configuration. So it really creates a seamless way for you as an MSP to deploy these kinds of solutions, and your reach can now become, further out than your typical just within driving distance. You can go to, beyond your normal footprint because you can do all this kind of automated systems here. Create templates, you can synchronize settings, you can do cloud backups to restore these kinds of configurations. You can clone switches or devices to help speed up deployment there, clone different sites or organizations and configurations, and then pre-configure those devices, like I mentioned earlier, before they even come out of the box. So that really helps for you to kind of preload these units before they get on site. So then your actual installation time, the physical installation, is more about just making the connections, getting the wiring, done, and then just verifying that everything was downloaded correctly and that the SSID or the Wi-Fi is working correctly. So you can just be there to verify those things. And most people don't have to be a network technician just to verify some of those types of services. They can connect to an SSID, make sure it's getting internet connectivity, and you can see that within the cloud portion. We're also pushing enterprise class level wireless connectivity. So capabilities to doing smart mesh. So where you have multiple APs that can mesh together wirelessly without needing an Ethernet cable to it. As long as both APs are powered up, they can make that bridge connection and then still service the customers that are in that coverage area. WPA3 enterprise level security. We have roaming as a standard. So just if you're translating roaming between multiple APs, or you're needing to do assisted roaming for authenticated users through the Wi-Fi, that's also there. Traffic shaping with our access points to make sure that users are, um, not overloading on the bandwidth, or also channel changes, etc. Security at the edge with our connect and protect and collaborative defense response. So if you're needing that level of edge level security at that Wi-Fi entry point, and you want to be able to see, oh, this machine or this device might be malware infected, the firewall can detect that and talk to the AP and tell it basically to either remove that device or isolate the device from the network so that it doesn't cause any potential damage to other devices that are in that network. Advanced Wi-Fi features like our Wi-Fi aid, Wi-Fi health, scheduling SSIDs so they can turn on and off, or using dynamic personal pre-shared keys. And so that's another value of our wireless solutions there. That has been a great talking point, the dynamic personal pre-shared key. Just imagine having a single SSID and just based on the passphrase that they're using, the password, that it puts them on their own unique SSID or VLAN. And so that way you don't have to have customized SSIDs for everyone or everything in the network. It's just based on that second factor of what's your passphrase, and your passphrase dictates which bucket you go into for that network. And with the Nebula cloud system, it also allows for you to visualize the network as well. So auto detecting automatic topology for VPN, for within the network itself, being able to see port statuses, port utilization, PoE utilization, how, managing all the different switches. You get live diagnostic tools like remote cable testing, and also application threat visualizations and reporting as well. So you get notifications and things like that, especially on the security side. It's constantly there to evolve to manage your security network. So if you have any kind of ransomware or malware, those things can be notified to the MSP or you as a partner and let you know that something is going on so that you can deal with those threats and help to mitigate that. So there's constantly monitoring and giving you that security feedback. The switches on the environment with Nebula allows for you to have automatic topology, like I mentioned before, intelligent PoE. So based on the units, the device's actual draw on the power, that's what's going to be put against the budget. So it also can tell you how much PoE you're using within that network. You can do vendor-based VLAN or voice VLAN, automatic VLAN tagging based on the device or the OUI. You can recover and detect when a device potentially is down and try to recover that device by maybe PoE powering it. And then also machine learning to identify different things like broadcast storms or blocking and things like that that might be affected. Wayne asked, does topology require Pro Pack? I think at the current moment, it requires at least the second tier pack. I forgot what that was actually called. It's on the next slide, or not the next slide, one of the next slides. Um, but in general, I would say for an MSP level, you would want to get to the Pro Pack if you're providing it as a managed service. It's nice to have that kind of topology to detect when they might be plugging in things that they shouldn't. The customer's plugging in things that they shouldn't. So you want to be aware of that or be able to see that easily within that topology. So I think most of our partners who run like an MSP business, they'll have a break fix customer where they might just offer the free kind of service, so it gives them visibility, but then they have a tier that is a paid monthly tier for active managed services, and then that allows for you to then have 365 days of logs. That pro license gives you that auditability, so you can audit and go back in case there's something history wise to troubleshoot and to help detect maybe it's a behavior or something like that or long-term attack. It's scalable, it's powerful, and it can scale to how if you only have 10 customers or 1,000 customers. We at our Nebula system supports right now over 100 different network devices, including security appliances, switches, Wi-Fi access points, and even LTE routers and client bridges. So the different services that, like Wayne had mentioned or asked about, the base pack is what everything is capable of. It is a no cost, license free, allows for you to configure, centrally manage, and monitor those network devices really easy. Again, no cost. The drawback is that it has like a 24-hour log. And so if you have things that that have brought to attention that need support, you may only be able to go back, 20 within 24 hours. And again, that's kind of like a break fix type scenario. If you do get to the plus pack, which is that second one, it does expand into some more. And I think the topology view can work within the plus pack. But if you're going to go halfway to the plus pack, you might as well go all the way to the pro pack because it gives you then full diagnostic tools, all of the AI functionality for Wi-Fi, for the switching, the full network, kind of functionality, and also 365 days of logs. So really the cost there, if it's flowed within an MSP model, per device, the monthly price per device is about $2.50 street price, which is $30 a year per device. And so that really is a nominal thing. If you have, let's say, a doctor's office that has a firewall, a switch, and an access point, at the street price, it's $7.50, right, per month. And if you roll that into a, $15 or $20 a month plan, depending on whether you're offering the security services or not, that can easily compensate for, that street price per se. And the MSP pack is kind of a holistic. It allows for you to kind of manage multiple organizations more easily if you have more than I would say 10 to 50, 10 or 20 sites. More than that, MSP pack is probably beneficial to you if you have also more than, let's say, 2 or 3 technicians that might be managing different customer groups or different regions. The MSP pack lets you kind of get a higher view. With the Pro Pack or with the existing base pack, you can still manage multiple organizations, multiple sites, but the MSP pack gives you, kind of better control, how to add, different admins to which organizations and which sites, as need be, and then easily remove them. So it helps for managing that and the logging and alerts and alarms so you can kind of designate it out or split it out. Wayne does just ask, I must buy Plus Pro Pack individually, or may I get a blanket coverage as an MSP? So you have to buy individually, I would say, per organization. So that it gives you the flexibility. Some customers will be on, their organization because they're not paying for an MSP service. So they get put on a base pack. So you just have those organizations with no licenses. And then for the ones that you do want to have kind of the MSP or Pro Pack, then those ones, that organization has to all be Pro Pack. So that's the other caveat is it's all or nothing. So if you want Pro Pack in an organization or a customer, all the devices on it has to be Pro Pack for it to be active. You can't just have, well, just the AP has Pro Pack, unless you have those APs just on a separate another org, right? So if you want to manage it under a single holistic view there for an organization for a customer, and you want Pro Pack, they all have to be Pro Pack. Otherwise, it defaults down to the lowest common denominator there. The MSP pack doesn't give you Pro Pack for everything. It just gives you the kind of the extra management layer and some extra functionality features that are there. There are some discussions on how we can more universalize that, and maybe that might change in the future on how different packs are put together. Now, if you do get to a kind of a higher tier level, if you're talking about like potentially thousands of devices that you're managing, then let's have a discussion. We do have some solutions that are coming up, or solutions that can help you with that, so you don't have to manage individually like all these Pro Packs. The other option is to use within my Zyxel, use the circle option. So when you go to the Zyxel, like go to myzyxel.com, that's where we kind of manage a lot of the solutions. Or within Nebula, you can join into the circle. So as partners, you have access to Zyxel Circle, and Circle allows for you to manage licenses, including the Nebula as well. And we've just added automatic billing, so you can choose kind of a month to month, or you want to do a 6 month or 1 year. You can auto renew at that, so you can kind of preset it and forget it in a sense, and it can auto bill against that for that organization, for that customer, or for multiple. So you can set those up as you need, so it can help to manage those licenses easier. So as long as you still have the services with the customer, or the customer still has services with you, you can just continue to renew or auto renew those organizations and sites. So from the wireless technology side, we offer again a full range of technologies, both Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7, and different ranges, different price points to meet different types of services, offerings, or applications. But today I'm going to talk more in general, but then also talk about our flagship model. So we take pride in how we design our Wi-Fi. So we don't just go and OEM something that's out there and just kind of put our name on it, but we actually work with a lot of the chipset vendors there. We work with our design team from a hardware perspective and from the software to make sure that we have a reliable, high performing access point solution. So when you do, pick up one of our Zyxel access points, you can really feel the difference. And then when you do open it up, you can see the difference. We have shielding, we have things to help to improve isolation of the chipsets and from the radios. The antennas are also shielded away to help to eliminate each other, interference from each other, and also to help mitigate interference to other devices or other clients, access points, etc. But one of our main technologies helps to deal with what we call code channel interference. And what code channel interference is in Wi-Fi, there's just a bunch of channels and everybody tries to communicate on different channels, right? And just like the 2.4 example, 2.4 gigahertz, we have, people typically put a Wi-Fi, on 1, 6, and 11 because it's as spread apart as possible, even though there is some overlap, but it helps to mitigate noise. You can kind of think of it like cubicles, or in this case, different lanes on a highway. But when we have co-channel interference, that means there are multiple people talking on the same channel or overlapping channels, or in this case, overlapping lanes, and it can cause Wi-Fi to, not work as well because it's having to constantly re-communicate. Just an example is, let's say I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but if my kids come and start interrupting every so often, that communication is going to get kind of distorted, and then I'm gonna have to repeat what I just said so that you can understand me. And so co-channel interference is what really is the cause of interference and why we have a lot of Wi-Fi issues. So we have two options in Wi-Fi, what we call, just like, or three options actually, just a static antenna. That's your typical AP. We have options that are called dual optimized antennas. And the third one is smart antenna. So the dual optimized antenna allows for you to actually change the orientation, I would say, like, or virtual orientation of how the antennas are being used. So there's a second set of antennas that help to bend it a certain way. So let's say you have an AP, typically they're ceiling mounted. But what if you can't ceiling mount it and you have to put it against the wall? If you take a ceiling mounted one and you put it against the wall, the typical range or the typical footprint is going to be, along its horizontal plane on its plane. And so it goes now, if you put it against the wall, it's going up and down within the floor. So it's going in between the floors rather than within the floor. So now you're just actually causing more interference and you're not getting coverage down that floor. But if you flip the switch basically and change it to be wall mounted, so then now it changes its orientation from its antenna pattern. Now it will shoot the beam or the antenna signal out along the floor rather than between the floors. So that helps to mitigate interference, but then also give you better coverage. So co-channel interference, typically our solution with that, if you have multiple APs kind of in a office environment, which many of us, even in our homes, have this kind of issue, where you have many people talking or many APs talking and making a lot of noise and interference. In order to mitigate that, your old-fashioned way of doing it is just reduce the power. But if you reduce the power, you also reduce coverage. And so devices are then, you need that overlap, at least some of that overlap. So then now you have dead spots. So how do you deal with that? Well, with smart antenna, it has the ability to still increase capacity, increase coverage, and while reducing interference. So smart antenna works like this. Your typical omnidirectional antenna can be, just working around, and then you have your directionalized type antennas where it points it into a certain space, right? So it helps to change the pattern. And what smart antenna does is, if there's interference and is trying to communicate to other devices, and this interference could be other access points. It doesn't have to be, a microwave or anything like that. But the smart antenna will basically look at 700 different patterns and optimize how it will communicate to that device, and then be able to mitigate the interference that's coming from the other devices. And so my analogy with that I've been always using is, if I do this to my hands, I'm talking to you louder. And if I also do this, I can hear you better as well. And without the interference and the noise behind me, it kind of tunes in what I can hear. And the benefit of smart antenna, different from some of the other vendors that might have some sort of this kind of antenna forming, is that we don't need the Wi-Fi client on the other end to have this technology. We're doing all of the work for you or for that device in order to hear better and to communicate better. So you have a lot of applications where maybe the device is just a basic, point of sale system or a scanner or a barcode scanner, but they have poor Wi-Fi because of the environment, or they have a lot of interference because of the environment that they're in. The smart antenna will make a massive difference in that kind of solution and in that application. Or like in a school where you have 50 tablets and then 20 computers all in the same room, and they all are competing in that space for data, for information and for those channels. And so they're all causing noise and interference. And so this, again, that smart antenna will help to mitigate that in those kinds of noisy environments. So we have different tiers of solutions. We have products that are just for simplicity's sake. You just have a single access point kind of office. Don't need anything fancy, and you're maybe budget conscious. You need something just to hit a certain price point to compete. The simplicity side is there. Then you move into the flexibility side. But most of our MSP customers are in the Ultimate Series side, where they're running our kind of our flagship models, or at least our Pro models. So it includes our Nebula Pro licenses for 1 year included in those devices when you buy it up front. But the technology that's moving forward and that you'll continue to see, being pushed today, especially on the business side, is Wi-Fi 7. Right now, Wi-Fi 7, just to be honest, it's not as, it's always slow to adopt within businesses. In the consumer side, Wi-Fi 7 is like that's where people will go. Um, you will see more of it as more and more phones support Wi-Fi 7. We're already seeing that already. But as those devices increase, as people and business owners and customers have Wi-Fi 7 in their home, their expectation is that they will want or need Wi-Fi 7 in the business. But let me tell you why Wi-Fi 7 is good for even in the business, because it does solve one of those big problems that we have. One is bandwidth, but also channelization utilization. Um, right now, with 2.4 gigs and 5 gigahertz, it's very limited in terms of the channels that you can have and be able to mitigate the interference. But with Wi-Fi 7, it opens up the 6 gigahertz range, and that gigahertz range is equal to or more than 2.4 and 5 gigahertz put together, combined. So that opens up a bigger slot for you to now have better, cleaner communication as more and more devices are in that coverage area network. But one of the main features that's going to really differentiate Wi-Fi 7 from any other Wi-Fi is the support for multi-link operation, MLO. In Wi-Fi 6 or in the past, your devices could only communicate on one or the other channel, so 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. But with Wi-Fi 7 and multi-link operation, the client can actually communicate on all three if the client supports 3 radios. Most clients, like phones, will probably support 2 radios just for power saving, but you might have some premium devices or laptops that will then be able to support um, all 3 channels. And so it allows for you to communicate with those frequencies at the same time. So it can piece together all of these bits of data, these packets of data on all of those different channels, finding the right one that has the right space, has the less interference at that point in time, and then put all the pieces together right into a coherent sentence. And so that will help to increase reliability, lower latency, increase the data rate that's possible, and helps to avoid interference dynamically. So rather than having to switch between different channels individually, it can just use whatever is available that is the least interfered with. And so Wi-Fi, our technology, our flagship is our WBE 660S. It is a Wi-Fi 7. It's the world's first Wi-Fi 7 access point with smart antenna technology. And so it's capable of, a, a max throughput, a theoretical throughput of 22 gigabits. It has multiple ports to help to facilitate that. So the design gives it high performance signal. You have your heat spreader, also a 10 gig uplink, surge protection, also cellular 4G and 5G interference shielding as well for that, and the adaptive smart antenna technology. So this is used in campuses where there might be a lot of interference, a lot of overcrowding, schools, universities, outdoor applications, wireless applications, and um, uh, different buildings, retail stores, or car dealerships, things like that. With this kind of solution, or we're seeing pop up now where you need that high availability, low latency for delivering online gaming, broadcasting, VR, AR type solutions in this kind of product. So just that's a high level of our wireless. And again, we have products that just span the entire range, whether you're looking for enterprise level all the way down to kind of a small office level. We have that complete solution. And we do that within our entire, product ranges here as well. So on the switch side, on the wired, this is not just about, making sure that, okay, it's just a switch and we just need something, right? We want to make sure that you understand that the basis, the foundation of most networks is that switch network, because not only is it providing the data backbone, but it's also in many cases now the power backbone for your voice applications, for your video conferencing, your data, your wireless, your guest network, VLANs, all of that, or maybe even now lighting and access control panels, IP cameras, right? The the applications are endless. And so that switch is very important to make sure that it's available and then you have visibility on it as well. So just some notes if you're looking at getting to, doing 10 gig or multi-gig, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, focused on today. Um, Make sure that you do have the appropriate cat cabling, Ethernet cabling that can support what you're trying to do. So if you want to go more than 100 meters or the full distance of 100 meters, if you want 10 gig, you need at least Cat 6 to go 55 meters, but Cat 6A will take you the full length of that Ethernet cable. So depending on most offices, if it's been built in a long time ago, it's probably a Cat 5E. So just know that your max throughput at that point with the Cat 5E is going to be 5 gigs. And then PoE wise, we are now moving into the 60-watt space as these devices, these access points require more than just the 30-watt PoE. So a lot more applications have been opening up with IP cameras, pan tilt zoom cameras, wireless capable or wireless heating capable cameras and access points to survive kind of the outdoor environments. So you'll see more of those. So make sure you keep track of what's PoE plus, which is 30 watt, and PoE plus plus 60 watt. And then within our switches, our naming conventions, the ones that are probably most important, I would say is our let's see, get my laser pointer out. Our MG is our multi-gig switches. So it usually supports 2.5, has 10 gig uplinks usually. Our XGS is 10 gig uplinks, but gigabit ports. Our XMG, which I'll talk a lot more about today, is our multi-gig 2.5 or 5 gig with 10 gig uplinks. And then our XS, which is the Roman numeral for 10 is X, is a completely 10 gig capable switch. It will still support 2.55 and 10, but all the ports can do typically 10 gig. So that's kind of the naming conventions on the front of the model. And if it ends with an HP, it's usually PoE capable. If it's EP, it's usually like an economy power, you would say. So it's usually half budget. So it costs it's more cost effective for applications that don't need the full blown or that much power for PoE. But then if you do need a lot of power, the FP model is like full power. So it's a larger power budget. So it can go up to 960 watts in some cases. And if it ends in an F, it's a fiber switch version, which means it has fiber ports, transceivers, instead of your normal Ethernet ports. And we also break it down into these areas: simplicity, flexibility, and the ultimate series. So simplicity, the 1915 series gives you nebula capability. And then as you move up, it depends on how complex your applications are. For the more complex applications, you're doing project-based, or if there are higher end applications, or maybe it's in the main core, you would probably be more in the ultimate series models there. But most of our customers in a general everyday day-to-day is going to be in this flexibility space. We also have provided and launched a new PoE injector. So we've already been delivering a 30 watt and a 60 watt PoE injector, but now we have a standalone PoE injector for 90 watt. It comes with a 10 gig uplink and can deliver up to 90 watts. So if you have some applications outside of your typical PoE consumption, we can take you all the way to 90 watts. So our XMG 1915, so the XMG means it's a multi-gig, so it's primarily 1 gig and 2.5 gig copper ports with 10 gig uplinks. So it has 10 gig fiber uplinks. It's nebula manageable, so it has nebula flex, and then it has PoE options in this model series as well. So you'll see a 10 EP and an 18 EP. So if you're looking for, an 8-port, 16-port type Ethernet with some of them being PoE, then these can offer you at least 8 ports of PoE injection up to 180 watts. The GS 1350 is a special type of switch. It's a CCTV type switch. It gives you functionalities like extended range. If you have a camera that's beyond the 100-meter typical Ethernet cable length, you can now go up to 250 meters. It can provide continuous PoE. even if you do a soft reboot or a configuration change that requires a reboot, it will still maintain the PoE power on those ports, making sure those cameras are not going down or having to reboot themselves. It can also do auto camera recovery. So if it sees that the camera no longer is sending traffic, it will try to reboot the PoE port for that camera and try to bring it back online. And all of this is loggable within our cloud system, so it can report to you if a camera has been down. And then if it's tried, 5 times and it hasn't been able to bring it up, it gives you also that information so you can take further action. But most of the time, just like everything else, our first thing of tech support, first rule of tech support is, did you reboot it, right? Did you power cycle the device? And so that's what this will help solve for you. So it has PoE injection as well, and then also extended surge protection, because some of these devices and cameras might be facing outside where there might be more prone to surge things that can surge the device. Our XGS 1930 series is gigabit port, web managed, Nebula Flex manageable with 10 gig uplink. So these are primary gigabit ports. There's PoE versions and non-PoE versions of this model. And then our XS 1930 is kind of what we use for a lot of our Wi-Fi 7 deployments that need a lot of power. So in this 8-port PoE switch, we offer 375 watts on those 3 ports. It has 10 gig uplinks, and every one of those ports can also do 10 gig copper as well. The XMG 1930 is a multi-gig version of that. So not all the ports are 10 gig, but they are all 2.5 gig with some additional ports, like 4 ports that can do up to 10 gig, and then 10 gig uplinks. And then there's PoE versions. There's the PoE options there. Just keep in mind, 8 of those ports can do 60 watt, and the 20 ports can do 30 watt, up to the maximum of 700 watts of PoE power. The 1930 series, both the XMG and the XS 1930s, they also have a layer 3 software upgrade as well. If you're looking to put it into like an AV mode, or you need CLI, command line interface type connectivity to ththese kinds of devices for management, then that can be a one-time upgrade to get that functionality. And our XGS 2220 is more of our project-based SKU. It is a full layer 2, layer 3 with static routing capable switch and PoE options that can go all the way up to 960 watts. So really a big option there. So again, this is we typically see these in projects. It can be stackable for, campuses and for, ISP type functionalities, or maybe building networks, or larger networks that might need VLAN or stacking, those kinds of things for aggregation. And then our XS 3800 is a all 10 gig capable. It's more of like a top of the rack aggregation type switch, where you might have some devices that are connected via fiber, and then other devices are needing 10 gig copper. So 10 gig fiber, 10 gig copper, and then a bunch of combo ports. So you can choose whether you need more fiber ports or you need more copper ports. It's flexible in that regard. So it's used for connecting offices. So different kind of applications there for the office. And the last topic I want to cover is security. And so network security has always been an important topic. And so how do you manage that? How do you offer this to your customer so that you don't have to worry about it and your customers don't have to worry about it? Well, Zyxel provides a solution that's, I believe, is best in class for small businesses. We work with these partners in order to offer all the different layers within our device for network protection: sandboxing, web filtering, IPS, intrusion detection prevention, anti-malware, virus protection, cloud security for email, geo-IP enforcement, device identification, IP reputation filtering, and application control. All of those things help to mitigate, help to you to manage your customers' risk while being on the internet network. I know many of you deal with customers who say, well, I don't need that. I'm not going to get attacked, until they get attacked. And then they come crawling back to you and saying, okay, now I need help, right? It's a lot of times it's that, but we want to make sure that you have the education, you know what the products can do and be capable of providing to your customers. And so with that, we do offer 30-day trials on these security functionalities. You want to enable content filtering, you want to enable the gold security license pack for 30 days, get all the logging, send that to your customers. That becomes really the added value because everything is um, reported, managed within the Nebula system and within Secu Reporter. It allows for you to showcase to your customers those 30 days, show what kind of viruses were blocked, what kind of malware was blocked, where people are going, which websites are they going to most, how much bandwidth are they using, what applications are using bandwidth, or maybe there's applications that shouldn't be used but are being used within the business network and you want it blocked. Those are all things that you can use to justify to your customer on why to subscribe to maybe your managed services because you as a partner could take that as a we will help you to control what's going in and out of your network by using these tools. So you can easily monitor and identify those threats. You can also look at it from a holistic, maybe over time, to see if there's abnormal user behaviors. You can customize these reports to ultimately that can send out with your bill, every month with your customer and showcase again, what they're paying for from a security standpoint. I think that makes it very tangible versus you just saying, well, I give you network protection and thank you very much. That's $50 a month or whatever. Um, it's better to say, here's your bill and this is what we've been protecting you against. If you'd like to cancel, fine, we can do that. But then you're no longer protected against all these things that we've been protecting, right? Everybody's going to say, no, just go ahead and keep, I want to continue to be protected. I don't want to be vulnerable in that regard. So you could, again, make it a compelling argument or a compelling reason why they would want to subscribe to your managed services. That's where we find a lot of traction from our partners is to use the security angle to make it justifiable for a MSP type service. And so that's kind of the easiest route there. And we have, again, split into effortless, simplicity, flexibility, and ultimate. So the effortless series, I will cover a little bit more detail, but our USG Flex models and a USG Flex H series is what is kind of our mainstream. So we just launched recently our USG Lite 60AX. It is a ransomware capable blocking device. It requires no licenses to have that service. So we've basically made it subscription free. It has built-in Wi-Fi 6 and it's capable of meshing using like Nebula Mesh with our other access points. So you can mesh with other APs that work within Nebula. So again, you don't need to have a wired connection to this device, from that AP. So again, it helps you to extend it within that business or that home office better. It also offers dual multi-gig 2.5 gig ports, one on the WAN, one on the LAN. So now you can offer 2.5 gig services, or maybe you're trying to find a firewall or a router that can work in those, small office spaces that gives you a level of security plus 2.5 gig capable functionality, auto VPN capabilities, but then you can also upsell. There's an optional elite pack that can give additional functionalities like a more 0-day threat management, blocking, and also content filtering services for that network as well. And it's also, tied in with that real-time monitoring within Secure Reporter. Like you can see it within the app as well, within the network security cloud side of it. And it's again tied within the Nebula side, so it's scalable for MSPs. So whether you're using, hundreds of these devices to be deployed, or in combination with any of our other 100 devices, it makes it a valuable option for you as an MSP. And so most of our partners use and sell today our USG Flex series. It's kind of our go-to. It's the most universal type model. You can choose it as a standalone. You can give it full UTM services, or full management, full performance functionality within the security line. Wayne just asked a question. Let's see. I'm testing one of those things. I found ransomware. I've not seen now in Android gaming devices. That's interesting. So, it has found ransomware I've not seen now. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's able to, whatever our services that we're using today, it's tied in with the Trellix system. So it's still the USG Flex type security. So we're basically leveraging our enterprise level, small business SMB level firewalls, um, kind of our contract with Trellix, which was previously McAfee, um, in providing those services to that SCR, sorry, the USG Lite. But it's for those customers who say, I don't want to, pay a monthly service or a yearly service for full UTM protection. Again, it's for those kinds of customers, or maybe in a small office that have been using um, a router they've bought off the shelf, from a local store. Um, this is going to be a lot better for them in terms of a security appliance, and then it gives you that visibility, right, from a security standpoint to manage and to protect them. But if you want the full-fledged kind of service, this is where you get into the USG Flex side. Gives you that full sandboxing, gives you the URL threat management as well as content filtering, antivirus, intrusion detection, anti-spam, whatever you want to offer. This is capable of it. And again, even if you sell them a non-bundled UTM device, just the hardware only, you have the option of turning on that 30-day trial. So I would advise for you or encourage you to use that as a sales tool to those customers to showcase what this device that they've already bought can do, so that you can upsell them to the services there. And then our launched USG Flex H, our high-end models are basically high performance. It allows for you to get to the multi-gig firewall space. If you have customers who need UTM security that is higher than 1 gig, or all the way up to 2.5 gig or maybe 3 gig, this will we have these models that can facilitate that. So the USG Flex H series. It's made to connect teleworkers on the low end on that effortless side. And again, all of these devices can be managed within Nebula in some form or another. The H series is going to have the full Nebula integration in January. So we'll see a release for that. For right now, you can still manage the device, but it's going to be through what we call a secure tunnel to the device configuration, which when we have the full Nebula, it will still be a window to that configuration just within the Nebula interface itself. But either way, it's going to be similar management capabilities for you, whether you manage it now through the SSH tunnel or through Nebula later on. It's going to be the same. You won't have to convert anything in the future. It's made to connect offices, so VPN, site to site, client to site, home to home office. All of that is available with these kinds of solutions. And so mix and match what you need on the office level, on the business level, or in the central level. So that covers all of our kind of general product lines. We do work within the channel. So if you are a partner of ours, most likely you're probably silver or gold. So that gives you benefits there. So in order to maintain those, you just need to have those qualifying sales in those periods. So every 6 months is 6K to maintain silver, which is 1K a month. I hope that you are doing more than 1K a month in order to survive. And then in gold is 2K a month. So really kind of low levels there, requirements for you to get maximum discounts within our distribution channel. So we work with D&H, Ingram, TD Synnex, Wave, Target Distribution, and Blue Star in Canada. If you'd like to connect with me and us at Zyxel, LinkedIn is Zyxel-US-channel. And on YouTube, you can find these videos and also other helpful videos at Zyxel America channel. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can just search for Zyxel Tri. That's TRI, and you will find me there as well. So please feel free to connect if we haven't connected already. So we have a few minutes here. If you do have any questions and you want to ask them, you can do so now in the Q&A section. But if you don't have any, or maybe later on today as you're just thinking about Zyxel, if you have any questions, you can email me directly. It's just TRI at Zyxel.com. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes here if anybody has any questions. If not, if you'd like to drop off now, if you don't have any questions, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon or this morning, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. And so, looks like there's no other questions. So we look forward to having a a great end of the year and look forward to 2025 as well. And hopefully, we'll be able to see some of you in one of these events that we will be hosting or attending in 2025. So until then, I think this will be the last partner. We might have one more partner in December. Yeah, we do. I think we have one more partner um, uh, webinar in December. Yeah, Wayne says thanks for looking forward to Nebula on those H devices. I'm looking forward to that too, just so that our partners can have peace of mind. But definitely work with that. Today it could still be used today in many cases, and so we do have some successful partners who are using the H series today, even though they prefer Nebula, but that SSH tunneling works well for them as a stopgap. So um, hopefully all of that works out for everybody. And again, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. All right. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.